have been meaning to make a video on this alternative VR platform for a very hot minute now, and that was going to happen after the current video I was working on was done and released to the public. But I couldn't help myself. Not this time. You see, plans have changed and the perfect storm has come together to the point where it was so hard for me to ignore it that I have to make this video to get it out of my mind. So I wanted to document and show everybody the story of a VR platform's reputation being ruined basically overnight, and how that reputation continues to nosedive into the dirt, hell, even going below dirt and going to the core of the earth. That's how bad it's gone. This is a cautionary tale to any game developer that wants to make a VR alternative platform to VRChat or any game developer in general. This is the story of Somnium Space, its CEO, its creative designer, and how their reputation was ruined overnight due to them and their big mouths, and how that reputation continues to nosedive to this very day. To begin this section, I would like to give a brief introduction to Somnium Space. I'm going to take this quote directly from an article that is actually very important to this video, which I'll cover later on in the video. But to begin, let me give you a brief rundown. Somnium Space is a persistent blockchain-powered VR platform that has proudly branded itself as the world's first truly 18+ social VR experience, with new mandatory free age verification via Stripe, now required for all new registration/existing users. Their stated mission is to create a mature, creator-controlled environment built for all adults, explicitly contrasting it with other platforms, with statements such as, "This isn't another VR platform open to children." On X and in their official communications, they display a clear animosity towards VRChat, in particular frequently shading it as a kid-friendly space, while positioning Somnium as the superior alternative with advanced features and monetization, touted as invite-only and adult-only. Now there is a problem already that I see. The first sentence saying that it is a persistent blockchain-powered VR platform. A blockchain is basically something to do with crypto. If I haven't made my stance clear on how I feel about crypto, I do not like it. Crypto and VR platforms should not mix together. It's a recipe for disaster and can lead to a lot of scummy things happening. Due to Somnium relying heavily on crypto, like how you can buy some land of your own, a world, and some other stuff, I can see in the future some scandals happening due to crypto. A lot of scummy and shitty people usually use crypto. No offense to anyone that's, using crypto reliantly, but the stereotype is that really bad people just use crypto, and I can see this getting way out of hand for Somnium Space. But hey, we'll just have to see. Maybe I'm just being a Debbie Downer about it, but the future can only tell. Let me introduce you to the two people I'm going to be heavily talking about in this video. The first one, and also being the main one, is Artur Sychov, the CEO of Somnium Space. But for the rest of the video, I'll just call him Artur. The second, while not being the main, is also as bad as Artur, being Shota, Somnium Space creative designer, and my god, these two boys just don't know how to shut the fuck up. I just have to be playing out and just say it right, they don't know how to shut up. It's a huge reason as to why people just don't like them. A lot of the time, I can't tell if they're purposely rage baiting people on Twitter or they're just being for real. That's the problem with them, I can't tell. But that's not the point as of right now. See, let's rewind back to November of last year, 2025. At this time, nobody really knew who Artur was. That was until November, where he decided to go on a tirade against VRC players, which is questionable for a CEO of a different VR platform to do. The big problem is the things he says and does while this is going on. One of the biggest problems I have with him is that he, on the down low, accused somebody of being a predator without any hard evidence. Zaki VR is a content creator within VRChat and is pretty well known. Unfortunately for Zaki, they decided to put out a funny tweet just telling a story that happened in VRChat. However, Artur for some reason decided to low-key accuse Zaki of being a predator. Now, it isn't exactly saying that they, were hanging out with somebody who's underage, but Artur, we can read between the lines. You're not slick about it. Now, obviously Zaki was not happy about this. I don't think anyone would be. However, Artur just didn't seem to care. Even like a month later, he decided to tag Zaki into something, still implying that they are something that they're definitely not. This in and of itself is basically what killed their reputation overnight. But even then, it just continues to go downhill more and more. I would like to highlight stuff from last year that was in November and December that just makes them look just terrible, and in the big picture just makes them look just so unlikable. And also, I want to talk about how Artur is failing as a CEO by doing the one thing that he can just do, but he just decides to not do. Now, by no means am I a CEO. I do not, and I quote, do not know what the business is like at all. However, I would like to think I have a general idea of what people like and what you can do for your community. Stuff to me that Artur just simply cannot understand and go and do. And it's actually pretty simple. It's to not piss off your potential customers, fan base, and make yourselves look like total dickheads. And to no one's shock, Artur is not very good at that. Archer has this issue where he just can't keep his mouth shut. For a CEO to go out of his way to dig through somebody's media just to get a quote-unquote gotcha moment is pathetic. I don't understand why Archer has to respond to every little thing, no matter how stupid and pathetic it is. I can't tell if it's his ego or if he's just that bored on Twitter when he could just be developing his platform to be better. Now, by the end of this shit show, Somnium Space's official Twitter account was blocked by the VRChat account. Same goes for Archer and Shota, at least I believe so. Which, surprise, surprise, who really is surprised to be fair by this? But here's the thing, for some reason, Archer, Shota, and the official Somnium Space account decided to try to engage with the VRChat account, gloating that they were blocked, and Shota also having an asset in Somnium Space to show the "you have been blocked by VRChat." Like, yeah guys, that's cool, I guess. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And for a while, it stayed like this. Everyone kept clowning on them, Somnium Space didn't care, but eventually something did happen, and this event kind of trickled down to something much bigger. On April 15th of this year, 2026, an artist known as Whispers was actually going to perform in Somnium Space. If you don't know who Whispers is, I'll make it quick. They are a furry musician. Anyways, they were going to perform on Somnium until April 16th, the very next day, when they made a video statement saying how they were not going to perform on Somnium. I'm going to play the entire statement since I do think it's important for you guys to hear.
I decided to cancel my upcoming gig in Somnium VR. I originally accepted the gig because I like the idea of supporting smaller VR platforms and communities. When I announced the gig, I received some messages that prompted me to look deeper into the platform, and after reviewing some public communication from the leadership and some of their team members, I realized that Somnium is not the right fit for me personally. I want to use my music to bring the community together in a positive and constructive way. I do want to say everybody that I was in contact with was really nice. They helped me set up the avatar for the platform, they would have paid me for the gig, and they also made an extensive interview for their website, Somnium Times. But in the end, I no longer feel comfortable to continue with the event, so I chose to cancel. This is my personal decision, this is not a call-out post or an attack. Thank you for listening.
And so Whispers decided to now perform on Somnium Space after looking into everything that Somnium has done. Now, Archer actually made a video response to this, a statement, and for the first time, he's actually made his points very clear due to him being on video. Now, I want to go over this statement and give my critiques and also agree with him on certain points. As much as I don't like Arthur as a person and I think that he's a terrible CEO, I do agree with him on certain points. Stuff that I think a lot of people, especially on VRChat, have in common with him. You know, a lot of things that Archer does say, a lot of people already agree with. And it's something that people want to see changed in VRChat. So let's go over the parts I think deserve to be talked about.
I think I have to remind everyone that I truly stand firm in my beliefs. Protecting children is non-negotiable. I believe predatory behavior must be called out, addressed, and prevented. At the same time, I also believe that explicit and over-sexualized behavior in public social VR spaces should be held to the same standards we expect in real world. And no social VR pressure online, no fake allegations against myself will change anything on my stance. I will continue to call out individuals or platforms that engage in or enable or fail to address these issues. I will continue doing so.
You know, when Archer says stuff like this, I almost forget that he's the same person I'm making this video on. You know, it's something that a lot of people agree on. You know, a lot of us on VRChat do recognize the problem, and we understand that this is definitely a big issue. You know, we're not strangers or blind to the fact that VRChat has, you know, for some reason attracted so many terrible players, people that do some of the worst things known to man, but, you know, it's something that we've been talking about for years. You know, a lot of us don't like how the VRChat team handles this kind of situation. A lot of us don't understand why they just can't seem to nail it down and basically exterminate this problem that is, for some reason, lying within VRChat. It's a painful reminder that this game has so many problems and, you know, it's really depressing at times. I think it's fine also going out of your way to critique the VRChat team. I'm no stranger to it if it isn't obvious from my last video. You know, they just seem so hard-headed that they don't really understand what the problem is or how to get rid of the problem. You know, it's fine giving them reminders and just nailing the point as to why they need to fix their shit immediately before it's, like I said before in the last video, too late. You know, it's not black and white. I hope Archer doesn't think that every player on VRChat wants this problem to persist, because majority, if not almost every single player on the game, wants it stomped out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. All of us want this shit gone forever.
After a month of preparation, the artist called Whispers, who was scheduled to perform this Saturday, has unfortunately cancelled his performance in the last minute, citing concerns about how I communicate these topics publicly. While, I respect the right of Whispers to make this decision, I strongly reject the claim that directly calling out inappropriate behavior of individuals or platforms is hate. I don't hate anyone, but I condemn and I will absolutely call out every individual who engages in inappropriate or threatening behavior towards minors online or towards social VR industry as a whole.
And then I'm reminded as to why I'm making a video on Artur, Shota, and Somnium Space. Artur, you have no one to blame but yourself. The reason as to why Whispers did not perform on Somnium is because of how you represent yourself on Twitter and all the little bullshit arguments you get into on Twitter. Do I need to show the screenshot again of you low-key accusing Zaki of being a predator without any evidence? Do I need to remind you how you went for people's medias on Twitter to get a potential gotcha moment on them? Do I need to remind you of how you treat people that criticize you, and how you defended their bad faith arguments to make this user look like an idiot, and somebody who's untrustworthy? Artur, buddy, this is the internet. We can look up stuff, it's not that hard. I don't know, personally speaking, I think it's a little bit hateful, but that's just me saying that. I don't know, I could be wrong, but to me, it seems a little hateful. I do understand his reasoning as to why he goes after people that do inappropriate stuff or threaten minors online. Totally understandable, I'm not gonna diss him for that. My only problem is, I think he's done more harm than good. Now, I do want to give credit where credit is due. He did go after somebody that I do believe was doing this kind of stuff online. I believe so. So he has done some good, so I'm willing to give him credit for that. I'm still gonna say he's done more harm than good though. Other than that one person that he did go after that I mentioned, what else has he really done? Like, seriously, like, he's gone after one person. What else has he done? He's done it one time, which is, like I said, good. His record of doing good versus bad is not looking too good, and it only gets worse from here. Trust me, it just gets worse. But we're not done here yet, and I'm going to talk about that really soon, so let's just continue with the video.
When you people post, some of you post over-sexualized content from social VR into public spaces like Twitter, into public posts, it harms our industry, because people looking from outside, looking at our industry, they say, what the hell is going on there? Is that what social VR has become? Of course not. There's so many amazing creations around. Show them. Don't show this, waving this around all the time on Twitter posts and stuff like that. Don't make social VR and, an OnlyFans heaven. It's not what it is.
Now, I do agree with Artur a bit here. I do think sometimes in VRChat and just the VR social space in general, a lot of over-sexualization can happen, giving people the wrong idea. I have talked about this in the past, trust me, I have made my stance clear. I don't think there's much more to say on that part, but I would like to throw something at Somnium. Here's my little gotcha moment, if it even is considered one. Artur, aren't you technically feeding into it? Hear me out. Somnium Space is advertised as an 18+ social platform, and usually when it's 18+, you're allowed to do NSFW. So, aren't you technically just feeding into it? You're more open about it, don't get me wrong. You're saying you're 18+, like, you got more on VRChat than, anyone else. You got them there. But you're feeding into that stereotype that social VR platforms are used for sexualization. Something that you say is harming it. You look like a hypocrite, and there's no easier way to say it. You look like a hypocrite. But hey, if I'm wrong, I'm down to hear you out. However, from an outsider's perspective, you're really not helping your case out. And that's everything I wanted to talk about in the statement. If you want to go watch the full thing, it's linked down below. So let's get to the real reason as to why I made this video. As you can see throughout this whole video, I haven't been in Somnium Space, and there is a good reason. I'm doing it to protect myself. I like to usually do more stuff within the platforms I talk about. Not this time, and there's a good reason as to why. Let's rewind back to May 9th of this year, 2026. On May 9th of this year, 2026, a user by the name of Lumi made an article on Somnium and their concerns, with their statement before going into the article saying, "After spending a few weeks participating in Somnium Space's community, primarily their Discord, I felt compelled to write my first article. The common Twitter drama put aside, I cannot in good faith ever recommend this platform due to privacy concerns." This is the article that I mentioned at the beginning with the intro. There is a lot to go over in this article, however, I'm going to focus on the two big ones that I have concerns for as well. I'll mention the other topic within the article. I don't think it's as important as the other two, however, if you want to look into it yourself, you're free to do so. The article will be in the description below if you want to go read it for yourself, and maybe start your own investigation on Somnium. To begin this article, we have something already quite alarming from Somnium. A minor issue. On April 19th, 2026, I became aware of a minor on their platform. While originally I viewed this as a quick, easy, and done ban, once I pointed out their publicly displayed age of 15, it quickly evolved into repeated denial/claims that Stripe age verification is impenetrable. Discord messages have cropped out chatter from other server members. As of May 9th, 2026, full context is still available in their public Discord if you are in it, via this message link. The following is a transcript of my conversation with CEO Artur Saichov in their official Discord. Captions provide context for each image, which I will be showing with every Discord image on screen. You cannot go around our age verification. Stripe is the strongest one on the planet at the moment. Then Lumii sending, are you sure? I am 99.9999% sure. Try it. If you will be able to register while being less than 18 years old, I will pay you $50 via in-game tip jar. No, there's a minor in the server, not with a registered account and verified age. It was my assumption because they talked to me about going to your event, and I see chat history here about asking for an invite code. Give me username in Somnium, and I'm sure they are not a minor. Every user in Somnium Space is 18 plus starting as of December 2025. It was at this point that I began to realize that it was, at the time, completely impossible to search for a profile via username. Their online site only displays the top few dozen users by level, and there are no user search options in-game. As will be explained later in their article, I possess knowledge of their API, which is an allowed/approved way of accessing data from Somnium servers. I then leverage my knowledge in order to manually search for the minor's username. Lumi shows a link to what I assume is the minor's account. I was just showing you guys user IDs. I can't search usernames anywhere. Have you tried here? And a link to the community hub for the Somnium users. That only displays the top users. Found an endpoint to get a user ID from a username. Closest match I can find is, and this being the ID of the actual account for the minor. I can confirm this is the minor via profile image. Username? By the way, please do not state he is a minor since it is not proven nor confirmed. Rather, it says in their bio. So, if it says in the bio, is it true? I am checking, don't worry. Then Lumi sends a link to the minor's profile. FYI, I have checked and no, they are not a minor. All good. Thank you for your report though. Some people do have young sounding voices. Dude, I have known them for 3 years and I have seen their uncensored ID via video twice. Then Lumi sending everything they have on the minor to Artur to make sure they get banned. Please send me DM with more information. We will do a deeper investigation, but I am sure it is close to impossible. This is their profile image, and that image is literally shown as created on their Twitter. They made that art. They're an acquaintance of mine that I'm friendly with, so no shade to them at all, but this is an adult space. Again, please send me more information in DMs, but as I say, I cannot imagine that they pass through age verification. Keep your $50. Of course they will, because our age verification works. Then they send a smiley face. Some weeks go by and the conversation became relevant again due to the discussion of age verification. I message linked my conversation with Artur Saichov, and Shota thankfully handled the situation very quickly based on the evidence I have already presented, in sharp contrast to the company's own CEO. This user has been banned and Stripe has been made aware of his fraudulent ID, so probably getting a knock on the door by local authorities. While their quick actions were commendable, they are not the ones steering the proverbial ship, and this called into question for me personally the morals by which Somnium Space as a whole operates. To their credit, after my testing, Stripe age verification is indeed quite strong. However, their pride in their system appeared to get in the way of enforcing that 1% who managed to squeeze through. For anyone curious, the minor confided privately to me that they paid someone to create a fake ID for them. Did someone ID verify you? When testing the strength of their system for my review, I literally forged an entire ID barcode and went crazy in Photoshop to change a few things and it wouldn't accept it. Yes, yeah, you need an ID that would verify, like a Chinese fake. What? But the face recognition. Yeah, big thing in that states and cities, that's what all the kids do. That's how fake IDs work. They're all from China, you submit your photo and like what state you want it from. And I don't know how they do it, but they scan, like out at bars and stuff. I see. Already this is a huge sign of problems with Somnium, because you might think that the platform is actually quite big, but the truth is they're not that big at all. At times the platform only gets into the double digits, like 25 to 26 players at most. So if a minor can sneak in with that many players, this is already a huge problem with Somnium. A platform advertised as 18+, yet a minor can sneak in. They can't deny that this person is not a minor, since even Shota banned this person for being a minor and their 18+ platform. That says a lot more about Somnium than anything else, and shows that Archer has a big ego that won't listen to anyone because he thinks he's always correct. But things do get worse with the next section and stuff outside of the article. Trust me, it gets a lot worse. Personal information requestable. While the above dialogue between Archer and I was going on, I noted with surprise that Shota was discussing with another user their ability to retrieve Somnium users' personal information arbitrarily. This conversation between them sparked when Somnium essentially threatened legal action against a group of trolls that had disrupted the game somehow. Do you have to get like a subpoena to Stripe to access it, or is it just in y'all's corporate dashboard? We don't actually see or store any of this info. It's all handled via Stripe, but we can request the info. That's the reason we went Stripe. Having KYC means it's much nicer to work with. It's more expensive, but it is a better way to do it. But we will use this tool against people who want to harm the platform and its users. It's really that simple. We can request this info anytime. It's part of their KYC service when you verify, and we will only ever request info about illegal activities. Keep a mental note on what Shota just said, it'll be very ironic later on. I was curious if this was a poor way of saying that Somnium Space can simply press a report button, but buried in Stripe's business-facing documentation is this. And what you're seeing on screen is everything that Lumii saw in Stripe's document. This is all the personal information that they can see and have. Based on Stripe's business-facing identity documentation and statements made in Discord, I became concerned that Somnium staff may retain the ability to access verification-related user information after onboarding. I could not independently verify the scope or limits of that access. By contrast, VRChat does not have access to your personal information. They automatically submit deletion requests once age verification is complete. This is in direct contrast to the statement Shota made, where they claimed that they had to submit an email for data request. I could not find any evidence of a email data request service that Stripe offers. While I could be incorrect, there did not appear to be any disclaimer anywhere that Somnium Space retains the ability to access/retrieve these documents. There does not appear to be any binding statement that they will only do so if they suspect illegal activity. I think most of you know where I'm going with this, but keep that still in mind because there's still one more part I want to talk about, but it'll be really quick, and to me it's not as important as the other part and their final statement. The third part of the article is about their API. Like I said, it's not important. I'm gonna just show the first beginning half. I'm not gonna read it out. Like, here you go. If you want to, like I said, the article is linked down below. I do highly recommend you go read it yourself. It's a good read. And now for Lumii's final statement. In this article, I have raised my own ethical concerns of the platform Somnium Space. While I believe the evidence speaks for itself, please remember it is your responsibility as the reader to draw your own conclusions. It is my sincere wish that Somnium Space takes this article as an opportunity to be transparent about their possible ability to view user personal information, improve their moderation procedures, and improve their policies regarding API usages/public relations. Until that time comes, I can no longer in good faith continue my wish of giving Somnium Space a fair shot by playing their game, Lumii. On the same exact day, Somnium did a response towards the article. And I gotta be honest, it's not really a good response. Statement from Somnium Space. We reviewed the article published by Lumii and wanted to address it directly. On the conversations published, some screenshots Lumii shared were taken from private direct messages with not published channels. Publishing private one-on-one conversations without the consent of the other party is something we will always condemn, regardless of who is involved or what the disagreement is about. It is not how good faith engagement works. Something that I already want to point out is that they're slightly trying to nudge the goalpost by saying that this stuff wasn't in public channels and these were one-on-one conversations. Now, I'd be down if they had evidence and showed any proof of this, but they don't. They're just saying it without showing any proof behind it. They also don't push back on how these conversations could be taken out of context or anything. So, even if so, these were private one-on-ones. If it's real, I don't really care. On the reported minor, Somnium Space is an 18+ platform with mandatory Stripe identity verification, one of the strongest KYC systems available. Stripe does not let fraudulent or fake IDs through. When somebody asks a real person adult to complete the verification on their behalf, which is illegal, using that person's real ID and a real selfie, no automated identity system in the world can catch that on its own, which is why community reports matter and why we act on them. Nobody's going against that Stripe is not very strong. Even Lumii themselves said it was quite strong. We did not dismiss this case. Casual claims in public chat that somebody might be a minor cannot be acted on at face value. Online communities frequently see users attempt to harm others through false accusations. And treating any unverified Discord remark as grounds for a ban would itself become a tool for harassment. We have a formal reporting process for exactly this reason, and it was not used here. When concerns are raised formally, we run rigorous internal checks against Stripe verification. We run rigorous internal checks against Stripe verification records before any action is taken. Those checks take time because we will not ban a verified adult based on a third party's claim. If our review concludes the account has been registered by another person for an underage user, the account is permanently banned. Child safety is non-negotiable for us, and our process exists to protect both minors and adults who would otherwise be vulnerable to false reports. Archer, for fuck's sake, you were asking for the evidence from Lumii to DM them to you. I don't want to hear about your reporting system if you went out of your way to ask for the information. Lumii went above and beyond, giving you so much evidence on this person being a minor. Stop trying to push the goalpost so you can wiggle your way out of this situation. This is again another situation where this is all on you, no one else. Lumii did everything in their power to give you every single thing they had on this person. So at the end of the day, again, this is your fault. On access to verification data, Stripe Identity allows verified businesses, including Somnium Space, to securely access verification results. This is standard across the EU and worldwide, and it is necessary for us as a platform to retain that access in order to investigate fraud, enforce our 18+ policy, and respond to safety incidences. We fully comply with Stripe's terms and applicable data protection law. ID documents and biometric data are not stored on Somnium servers, nor are they ever entered any of our servers nor databases. That data is held by Stripe and governed by Stripe's identity privacy policy and retention schedule. This is already disclosed in our terms and privacy policy. Again, make a mental note on this, it'll get very ironic soon. Anyways, for the last parts of the statement, it's just the API, which again, I don't really care. Here you go, look at it. And finally, their last message to the situation. On good faith engagement, Somnium welcomes scrutiny, including from critics. What we find harder to take seriously is sustained public criticism of a platform from somebody who has spent considerably more energy trying to discredit it publicly than actually using it. Constructive feedback from active users, from researchers, from somebody engaging in good faith genuinely makes the platform better, and we act on it and even reward such genuine reports. Our team remains open to conversations. The Somnium Space team. Wow, this statement fucking sucks. They are once again trying to push the goalpost even further now. Because Lumii decided to make an article trying to quote-unquote discredit them and not being an active user on Somnium, that means their feedback is invalid. Are you kidding me? God, this is the most bad faith thing I have seen in so long. Are we serious? Bro, Lumii did so much research on your platform. If they got all the information they got for being in your server for fucking who knows how long, apparently not too long, and they got all of that, that says more about you than them. If they can make an article and claim that Lumii didn't do the quote-unquote right thing for a lot of this stuff, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing as a CEO, as a creative designer, as a community man? Like, what are you guys doing? Seriously. You didn't even disprove any of it. You just said stuff and moved on like nothing happened. Seriously. You guys aren't slick about this at all. But it only gets worse. On the same exact day, May 9th of 2026, Lumii came back with something even more damning against Somnium. FYI, Somnium Space responded. They stated pretty clearly that the data is stored on Stripe servers and is controlled by Stripe's privacy policy. Anyways, here's a video of what seems to be Archer Sideshov name-dropping somebody misbehaving in his game. Yes, this is the moment I have been waiting to tell you about. Somehow Lumii actually found the full recording, which is about 34 minutes long, so if you want even more context, I'll leave it down below in the description, but I'm going to play the one that was on Twitter. I'm going to censor this person's name.
So you've come here to purposely do malicious shit. Is this correct?
You said I was here to do malicious shit.
Well,
all I said was I was gonna send some Photon events.
And why?
Why not?
Because it's not allowed.
It's a game with like 5 or 6 people that play it.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not allowed.
So? Are you gonna stop me?
Yeah, of course.
Now, I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate for Archer. Now, for all we know, this person and Archer could be really good friends, or just friends in general, because clearly the person doesn't seem to be too bothered by Archer saying it out loud. Although, this recording I don't think was known by this person, so for all he knew, this was okay because, you know, he thought he wasn't being recorded. Regardless, do you see why I'm not playing Somnium Space for this video? You could make the argument that It's just the first name. But it only starts with one and then it can trickle down to more. What's next? A full name, an address, their identity, what? It's something that should be condemned by everyone that plays games, especially CEOs. However, apparently the CEO just decided to do it. I don't usually like saying this about any games because every game deserves a chance. Not Somnium. I highly recommend you don't play Somnium. There is a chance that if they deem you worthy of doing misconduct, they could do that to you. Now, a question you might have is, hey, what was this crime? Maybe the crime was worthy of it. The crime that deserved to get their first name doxxed, apparently by the CEO, was somebody using a hack client in Somnium. How do I know this? I don't know how Lumii got this screenshot, but they did. This just showed it in private DMs with somebody talking about how that is their actual name, and since they were hacking on Somnium, they got what they got. And here's the admission, it's his real name. Thanks, Shota. Off my page. I'm really sorry, guys. I have no clue how somebody got a hold of that video. Next time, I'm gonna use Google Drive if I have to record something. It's alright, not your fault. Somebody hacked Somnium, their name is dropped, they get scared and bail, and it's being used against us that his name was dropped. Classic. For real. Again, really sorry. This also shows to me that Shota does not care that his own CEO, his own boss, just doxed somebody. Now, am I saying the hacker should not have been given some punishment? No, of course not. It is your right to ban someone if they are breaking the rules on your game, no matter what it is. Even if it's a social platform that doesn't get that many players. But obviously, doxing is not the way you should do it at all. Artur already isn't liked, and his game is already not popular with the people in VR. But doing this kind of stuff really does not help him get any support at all. Both Artur and Shota are examples of what you should not do at all as a game developer, and especially as a CEO. No matter how small the dox was, everyone should be against doxing. It's something that is immoral and can lead to real consequences in real life. It shouldn't be used as a weapon for people that you deem worthy of it. But what seems to be a running trend with Artur is that his response was not good at all. His response was shitty, and clearly he doesn't care. He sent an ID with just John Doe. Clearly he sees it as a joke. In that same thread about the doxing, it was just something about the API, which, like I said, here you go. I don't really care about the API stuff, but there. But then it just keeps getting worse. Last thing I have to say about Somnium Space and its privacy/security compared to VRChat, their CDN bucket root is public. Credit to Oracle. Link in reply if you're curious. It's full of Unity packages, zip files, and in-game screenshots. Is that who I think it is? I actually don't know if that's Shota or not, by the way. 138 gigabytes, 27,000 keys or so, search rules paginated, some are private, launcher update files, nothing dangerously sensitive, but plenty of really funny screenshots, more than one dick out. Now, before we continue, I actually just wanted to show this really funny picture I saw of Shota about to get lap danced on. I don't know, I just thought it would be funny. Or alternatively, join our Discord and see these messages roll in real time. Just head on over to Somnium Pics. There are images present on the CDN that are not present in your channel. From the looks of it, it holds all Glimmer images, public and private. There are also tons of binary files, bitstreams, zips, Unity packages, audio files, telemetry, .somnium files. Yes, this is our CDN, and it is already public. Every file that the user receives is there. The root being public is terrible security. It exposes internal paths, naming schemes, prefixes, artifact types. In short, your overall file structure and more. Considering the development assets exposed here, it essentially turned off security through obscurity. There's no security risks there at all. Seeing how stupid that statement was, the next day him and the team fixed this problem. And this just shows to me more that they can't admit when they're wrong and need to be right on everything that they say. The ego on these people is just amazing. And finally, one last thing that needs to be mentioned is just more API stuff. Here you go, you can read them out, or you can go find them on Lumii's profile. It's not really my concern. Something funny that I wanted to show, and just to prove how much of a professional Shota is on May 10th, after everything that happened with the article, their response, and then proving that they doxed somebody, Shota's only response was this. God, he's just such a professional. I want to be just like him one day. Somnium may have also taken code without permission from the VRC face tracking dev. However, they are aware, but they might have taken without credit. We don't really know, so that's food for thought. But there is one last thing I would like to highlight that Shota did and is pathetic. Had an excursion into the Shadow Realm the other night. My 5090 was struggling, and if you're wondering where they are, they're actually in Lumii's world. Lumii wanted to show that Somnium blocked them. And yeah, for some reason, Shota decided to go out of his way to go to Lumii's world to get this photo. Bit weird, isn't it? But something very funny and possibly concerning within the team of Somnium actually happened when Lumii noticed something. Oh, one of the Somnium Space team members is a baby fur. No, I'm not going to tell you the definition of a baby fur. I would rather not traumatize myself. Now, is it true? I can't say for sure, so I'm going to leave that up in the air. But Shota was given a lot of shit, whether he was intentionally hanging out with this person or not. By the way, I don't actually know if that person in the photo is a baby fur, but my best guess it is just due to how they're dressed up, but who knows, I could be wrong. Lamau, bro's hanging out with a baby fur. Typical public lobby. I'm not surprised they were in that world, TBH. And then in a really strange and weird move, I think they try to shift the blame onto Lumi for this happening. Joins a public lobby inside Lumi's world, full to the brim with kiddos. Takes pic, one of the kids walked in front. Lumi DMs me and also reposts this fast. This is what true mental illness looks like. I don't know if you know this, Shota, but Lumi can't control who gets into their world. It's a public world, so anyone can make an instance no matter who it is. But I do understand his annoyance with kids being around. But I can't tell if you're trying to push the blame onto Lumi. If you are, say it out loud. If you're not, then why would you make this tweet in the first place? In conclusion, Somnium Space just outright sucks, and you probably should not join their platform, like at all. I think I've made my point clear as to why. They are definitely one of the worst teams I've ever seen trying to keep their game alive while also trying to have a consistent player base while doing literally everything in their power to make it not happen. While making this video, Rec Room was sadly shutting down, and by the time you're viewing this video, it's actually gone now. Archer somehow made it about a certain VR platform that should also be shut down. I only have a couple things to say about this. Archer, when the day VRChat does shut down, which yes, one day it will happen, you will not get a fraction of the VRC player base. At best, it'll be 2 to 4% due to how you and your team operate on Twitter and how you just are on your game. They say actions speak louder than words, and trust me, they do. It got to the point where my dumbass made a video on you and your actions to make sure people know what you and Shota are like within and outside of your own game. Let's hypothetically say you do get a good percentage of VRChat's player base. I have very little faith in your moderation. If one miner can slip in through and mingle with your player base that doesn't even hit double digits, I imagine you're going to struggle heavily with triple to quadruple digits. I do hope you prove me wrong, but I think your ego and confidence will stop you from checking on your players. If there is any advice I'd give to Archer and Shota, it would be just shut up. Just shut up, work on your game. Make your game better than VRChat due to how much gloating you do, how better you are than VRChat, how much shit you give VRChat, how your marketing relies on shitting on VRChat. Make it better. I don't want to hear you yap about it. Stop getting into these pathetic fights with people that are literally nobody's on Twitter. Who cares? You gotta fight every single fight? You guys are so annoying. Get your egos in check. God, that's the biggest thing with you guys. Your egos are so big, it won't even let you see how wrong you can be sometimes. It's incredible. Now, go make your game better, dev boy. I don't want to hear how amazing your game is. Show me how amazing it is, and maybe we'll talk. Maybe. Oh yeah, and good luck getting back on Steam with all your crypto and your problem with 18+. We'll figure out if that works out in the end. God, this shit was too easy to do. And to you, viewer, I have one question for you. So, who do you think is gonna drop dead first? I think it's Somnium due to everything, but I don't know. VRChat could always drop the ball and could die today. I guess we'll just have to see. And I'm gonna leave you with this funny image I saw on Twitter that Archer decided to put out there. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. It'll be a lot more fun. Nothing too serious like this. It'll be a fun video. So until then, make sure to go check all my socials. Join the Discord if you haven't already. It's open if you want to talk to me and hang out and, I don't know, do something. Come join me. My VRChat group is open too, so in case I do anything on VRChat, you can always play games with me or help me out with videos in the future. Gonna give some quick shout outs before I end this video. Shout out to Tebris, my thumbnail artist, and just being moral support in the background. Go check her stuff out. She made the thumbnail. Thank you so much. Shout out to Lumi for doing all the investigation. I don't know Lumi. They just kind of did all this and really helped out putting this video together. So big shout out to them. Go check their stuff out. And finally, shout out to my mom. She knows about this stuff and supportive as usual. Thanks, Mom. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.